Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. We've got some entitled parent stories, so let's jump right into our first story of the day by BlueBat55. Woman keys car cause it's too loud. So for some background, the car wasn't mine, it was my brother-in-law's. He is suing her for about 60 grand for the damages. I don't know the exact car model, but it's a muscle car and it's manual. So it all started when I decided I wanted to start learning stick. Since my brother-in-law is the only person I know with a manual car, I had him come over and teach me. When the car starts up, it does make a rather loud rev. We made sure to do it in the afternoon as to not wake people up and try to be considerate. Anyways, it was about the third or fourth day of him teaching me when she first appeared. Karen says, "Nice car, bit too loud for my taste, but it's still nice." I say, "Oh, thanks." "Mind trying to keep it down a bit? My baby doesn't really seem to like it that much." I say, "Yeah, sure, we've been driving in the day so it doesn't wake people up. I didn't know anyone around here had a baby, so I'm sorry about that." "It's not a problem, just be quieter, Kay." With that condescending tone and a smile on her face, she walked off, which kinda made me mad because I just thought it was a friendly chat. It wouldn't be the first time people have talked to me about brother-in-law's car thinking it's mine. I've grown to accept that people will think whatever, so I play along and just tell brother-in-law about it later. 2 days go by with no sign of her. I wake up, get ready, and wait for brother-in-law to come over so we can start my lesson. I walk outside and lo and behold, she was there. "I thought I told you to keep it down." "Sorry, I can't control it. It's just how the car starts and we're not going to leave it running while we're not in it. That's a waste of gas." "I don't care, stop being so loud." With that, she was gone. It always annoys me when people complain about cars being loud. A car is a motor vehicle with a combustion engine in it. Of course it's going to make noise. Brother-in-law got to my place and off we went. We came back to my house to eat lunch. About 2 or so hours later, my sister and mom come over and tell brother-in-law and I to go look at the car. The entire driver's side was scratched up and even a tire was popped. Only one person came to mind when I saw it: Karen. We, meaning me and brother-in-law, walked down to her house, which was only a few houses down, and knocked on her door. All we hear come from the other side is, "I'm not apologizing." So this led brother-in-law to say, "Then you better have a good case in court, you witch. That's gonna cost a lot to fix and I'm suing you for every freaking cent." "Maybe keep it down then, you hick." Brother-in-law said, "Maybe don't go keying cars and popping tires and you won't get sued." This went on for about 20 minutes. We head back, call the police, and get everything ready for what was about to come. As soon as they got there, we started to explain what happened. How I was learning stick, how the car was, showed them the damages, told them what the Karen said, etc. We were making sure our side was accurate, so we made sure our timeline was correct. After a while, we walked with the police to her house, and it went down about as well as you would expect. Police 1 said, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you come out here for a minute? This is the PD wanting to speak to you about the car." "I'm not apologizing. I told them to keep it down and they didn't. They deserve it." Police 2 said, "Ma'am, what you did is against the law and they are pressing charges. You have 5 minutes to get out here or we will get a warrant for your arrest and come back." "Nice try, but I'm not stupid. I know my rights and you're not allowed to enter my home without my consent or a search warrant." Police 1 said, "That's only partially true. We can't search your home without a warrant. However, if we have a warrant for your arrest, we can legally enter your home and place you into custody." She was stubborn. Again, they went back and forth for a bit. After the allotted time set, we went back to my house, the cops left to get a warrant, and we waited. Currently, the lawsuit is in order and the trial is in a few days. She is in police custody. I have never found it easier to drive a stick shift knowing I won't have to deal with her condescending ways and tones. Hopefully my simulation of the Karen being behind the door wasn't too over the top. That said, I'm really shocked that they didn't deny the allegations. How are you going to go and key and pop a tire on a vehicle that's probably worth a good bit of money, and then immediately when you're confronted say, "I'm not apologizing," and admit fault right away? And then say the same thing to the police, admit fault straight up. At least she did, so OP's brother-in-law has a very easy slam dunk case against her. Let me ask you this, do you think her straight up admitting to the crime is her being an entitled parent, or just her being plain stupid? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by nightnightrachel, Harry Potter and the Entitled Dad. In the summer of 2005, I was 14 and my family was just leaving a vacation from Thailand back to our home in India. This vacation coincided with the release of the 6th Harry Potter book, and for two Potterheads like my sister and I, life was good. We spent 2 hours of our last day in Thailand waiting in line to get the book. My sister and I had an agreement that I would read the book first and give it to her once I was done. Out of mutual respect, the first reader always tries to read as fast as possible and get the book to the second reader. So the rest of the vacation, that's what I was doing. Non-stop reading. When we got onto the flight, it was a 2-3-2 seat setup. My family had decided to get 4 seats, 2 seats next to the window for my parents, and the row immediately behind for my sister and I. The first time I put down the book during the flight was during the meal service on our flight back. I wedged my boarding pass stub as a bookmark, closed the book, and put it in the seat's back pocket. I began talking to my sister about how great the book was, etc., etc. Shortly after, the man in the row behind me, who will be henceforth known as Entitled Dad, tapped me on the shoulder.
"Excuse me, but my daughter would like to read your book."
I apologized and informed Entitled Dad that I had to finish it soon as my sister was waiting to read it. He persisted and asked whether his daughter could read it while I was finishing my meal. I apologized again and said no. It was obvious that Entitled Dad and Entitled Kid were upset because they began speaking to each other in Hindi in an annoyed tone. Even though my sister understood very little Hindi as my family were expats, we understood the word stupid. After a while, once the seatbelt sign was turned off, my sister and I got into the line for the bathroom. We were non-stop discussing Harry Potter the whole wait. An awesome flight attendant also joined in on the conversation. We fangirled hard and spoke to her for around 10 whole minutes. She was a Ravenclaw, so from now on, she shall be known as Ravenclaw Air Hostess. However, our great mood was immediately broken when we got back to our seats and realized that the book was missing from the seat pocket. My sister and I got super panicked and began to search the ground. It was a really fat hardcover book and could easily have slipped out onto the ground. We scoured our seats, asked my parents in the front row to help, and even asked Ravenclaw flight attendant to help us. However, the fasten seatbelt sign came on again and we had to get back to our seats. I was so frustrated I was almost in tears. My sister whispered it could have been Entitled Dad and an Entitled Kid behind us, but I refused to believe her. I mean, truly, who would steal a book from a kid? My sister pacified me, and my parents from the row in front assured us that they would buy us another book and not to worry. So we settled back in. They had turned the cabin lights off and everyone was really quiet and mostly sleeping. However, I noticed the row behind us had their overhead light on. I knelt on my seat, looked back, and lo and behold, Entitled Kid was reading Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I shoved my sister awake and showed her what was happening. We both furiously whispered to Entitled Kid to give it back. She ignored us, frowning, and continued to read. We then began to speak to her louder, waking Entitled Dad and my parents up. The Entitled Dad said,
"Stop disturbing us. This is my daughter's book. Please mind your business."
I say, "Why did you ask for my book earlier if your daughter had the same book?"
"You must be confused. Please leave us alone."
I was so annoyed, and my parents, who are very non-confrontational, told me to leave it and assured us that they'll get us a new book once we got home, but my sister and I wouldn't let it go. It's freaking Harry Potter. We pressed the Call Air Hostess button and asked for Ravenclaw Air Hostess. We informed her of the situation. We also told her that my book had my boarding pass wedged into the book as a bookmark. We were hoping Entitled Kid hadn't discovered it or removed it. She said she'd handle it. When the flight was almost over, Ravenclaw Air Hostess was coming by with coffee and tea. When she got to Entitled Kid and Entitled Dad's row, she started gushing about the Harry Potter book Entitled Kid was reading. She asked the girl if she could see it because she's such a huge fan. Entitled Kid gave her the book and she began flipping through the pages. My sister and I were craning our necks to see the action and holding each other's hands. Like a sign from the heavens, the boarding pass stub dropped. Ravenclaw Air Hostess picked it up and, feigning innocence, said to Entitled Kid, "Oh, I think you're in the wrong seat, sweetie." She then switched to a firm voice and turned to Entitled Dad. "This boarding pass belongs to the passenger in the front of you." Cabin crew must be informed of any seat changes. Was that done? Entitled kid and entitled dad remained silent for what felt like forever. Then air hostess said, "This girl had lost a copy of this book and stated that her boarding pass was in it. Did you find this?" Entitled dad mumbled that they had found the book on the floor. Air hostess nodded, handed me the book and boarding pass stub. She then thanked entitled kid and entitled dad profusely for finding the book and said we were all very grateful. Entitled dad mumbled a response. Ravenclaw air hostess then winked at my sister and I and went back to serving coffee and tea. My sister and I were over the moon. We high-fived silently and hugged each other. As soon as we could, we wrote our names in huge letters on the first page of the book and guarded it the entire way back. That flight attendant and fellow Potterhead will forever be our hero. Life lessons which we learned during this trip: 1. Never leave valuable belongings unattended in your seat on a flight. 2. Always write your name on the front of a book as soon as possible. And finally, 3. Fangirling can make people family. That was very suave action right there. Let them incriminate themselves and give up the book themselves. It was perfectly executed because it made them so dissatisfied and had to admit that they had found it. The only downside is there's no noticeable shame that's brought to these people. Our next story is by The Nowhere Man 418, entitled Mother and Begging Brat Try to Take My 4K PC. So I was friends with a kid from my school. I thought he was a nice kid, but as soon as he saw my new PC, he became a begging brat. So lockdown was going to be issued in a few weeks. So I invited a few of my closest friends round and their parents as they were friends with mine. I have wanted a gaming PC for the past 3 years now and I finally got enough money to buy it. My dad wasn't exactly happy, but he realized that I had wanted it for a while and would need a PC for online lessons. So I hopped onto Amazon and bought my PC. Now onto the story. We invited the friends and parents over for a nice dinner. It was meant to be a nice gathering and the majority decided on KFC. But no, Begging Brad wanted McDonald's. The Begging Brat and entitled mother were begging for all of us to have McDonald's. Like which? We invited you to be nice and this is how you repay us? We all said no, and we had KFC. During dinner, the parts for my PC arrived. I was so excited that I devoured my food and rushed upstairs to build it. My friends came up, and since they all like PCs too, we all did it together. One person did the RAM, another did the CPU. You get the idea. So it was finished, and after everyone left, the entitled mother, nice dad, and begging brat stayed behind, as they were good friends with my parents. Entitled mother says, "So, Begging Brat told me that OP got a new PC. OP's mom says, "Yeah, he's been wanting it for 3 years now and he needs it for school." Begging Brat says, "Mom, I want a new PC." Since I had some form of friendship with this kid, I told him that he could have a PC. Begging Brat said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, sure." Entitled mother said, "Thank you so much for being so kind." The Begging Brat said, "Let's go get it." I said, "I'll bring it down for you." I brought in my old PC. Like I said, it was bad, but could run most games at 60 FPS 720p. I fitted some RGB fans to disguise the look so if anyone came and saw it, they wouldn't know how bad it was. However, it was considerably smaller. Begging Brat noticed. Begging Brat said, "Your PC is much bigger than that." I said, "I know." "So where is it?" I said, "Here." "No, you said you would give me your new PC." "No, I said I would give you a PC, and this is my old one. It runs all modern games at 720p 60 FPS. "No, I want the new one." Entitled mother walks in. "What's all this shouting about?" Begging Brat said, "OP won't give me his PC." "OP, you said you would give him your new PC." "No, I said I would give him a PC, and this is the one I'm giving him. I have been saving up for 3 years and won't just give it away." "But you're like 12, you're too old for this PC." Keep in mind that Begging Brat was 11 and she claims to be such good friends with my family when I'm 15. OP's dad says, "What's going on?" I say they are He has traumatized my son after lying to him. He said he would give him his new PC. OP's dad says, "OP, why are you giving your new PC away?" I say, "I'm not. I told Begging Brat that he could have my old one and now he's demanding my new one." OP's dad to entitled mother, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." How dare you? He is only 12. He is too young. Note, my family aren't really famous, but people know us as we constantly donate a lot of money to help our park and things like that. Opie's dad says, don't try and impress people by saying you're our friend when you don't even know my son's age. Baking Brat's nice dad says, entitled mother, stop, you always do this, and Baking Brat, be grateful or don't take it at all. Baking Brat and entitled mother say fine. They storm out of the house. Nice dad said sorry about that as he hands me 40 British pounds. I say it's okay and thank you. We cut contact with the entitled mother and Baking Brat, but my dad goes to the pub sometimes with nice dad. Well, at least one of them has manners and common sense. Who in their right mind is going to see this kid get a brand new PC right before their eyes and expect that they're going to give it away? They're not going to give away anything brand new like that. That's just common sense. They should feel lucky that they were even giving him the old PC. And our final story of the day is by Brother P, entitled Mother Wants Someone to Do Something About the Rain. My son, Hapless Youth or HY, works maintenance at a public campground. He is responsible for keeping the trails trimmed, cleaning campsites and washrooms, and fixing picnic tables. Today, he was at work at 7 a.m. for his regular Saturday shift and was walking to the washrooms to clean them. For the past 36 hours or so, we've had rain on and off, which naturally results in mud, humidity, puddles, and grime. So, as he is approaching the washrooms, he hears a woman, entitled Mother, calling him. Young man, excuse me. Yes, can I help you? He's used to people getting lost and needing directions. I need help with my sight. What's wrong? He was getting out of his depth here. Generally, all the sites are simply small clearings with a fire pit. There's not much that can go wrong with them. Water. I'm sorry? It has been raining all night. Yeah, so? Our site is full of water. I need you to clean it up. I don't think I can. There is a huge puddle and the ground is all muddy. I need you to do something with the water. I don't think we can get rid of the water, but maybe you can get another campsite? We just unpacked everything yesterday. I'm not packing everything back up again and moving. I need you to clean up our site. Yeah, I don't think I can do that. I have to go clean the washrooms. You can go to the gate and see if they can help. He turned and started on his way to the washrooms, but entitled Mother caught up with him and grabbed his shoulder. Don't you walk away from me. I need you to clean up our site and get rid of the water. We can't use it all wet like this. I'm sorry, there's not much I can do. It's water, it'll dry up. I have to go or I'll get in trouble. Oh, you're in trouble, all right. I'll be reporting you to the camp supervisor. Here is where she messed up. As this is a provincial park, the person in charge is a park warden. They are tough, no-nonsense types who are in charge of enforcement, not customer satisfaction. The warden at this park regularly tells employees that if they get a hard time from the campers, to give them his name and he will set them straight. You mean the warden? Sure, his name is John. The gatehouse can page him for you. Fine. She turned and stomped off in a huff, and my son went on his way to clean the washrooms. A couple hours later, he was heading to the garbage dumpsters to do some work there, and he passed entitled Mother and her family at their campsite. They were packing up and entitled Mother was red-faced and clearly angry, snapping at the kids. My son found out at lunch she kept demanding the warden make him clean up the water at her site until he had enough and evicted them from the park. How are you going to go camping anywhere and then complain that when it rained, things are wet? I don't think there's any janitor that's going to clean water from a campsite after it rained. At least they wouldn't as far as water just around the campsite itself. If it got into something, that's another story, but that's obviously not what happened here. I don't know where this entitled mother came from, but it sounds pretty entitled for sure. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which one and why in the comment section down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe if you haven't and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you did, whether it was just watching the video or commenting, subscribing, whatever you do. Thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. Any single thing you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I appreciate the heck out of it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and until next time, I'll be right here on the Storytime channel.